Major funding for these broadcasts has been provided by grants from New York Community Bank, AmTrust Title Insurance Company, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Marks Paneth LLP, Ariel Property Advisors, Sterling National Bank, Capital One Bank, Collins Building Services, Meridian Capital Group. Additional support has been provided by grants from AVR Realty Company, Amerant Bank, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, B6 Real Estate Advisors, Briarwood Organization, Chase Commercial Term Lending, Chase Commercial Mortgage, Citizens Bank, CPEX Real Estate Services, Douglaston Development Levine Builders, Flushing Bank, Friedman LLP, Handler Properties LLC, Handler Real Estate, Hodges Ward Elliott INC, Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, New York's Window Company, Matone Group, New Banks, Newmark Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rockefeller Group, Rosewood Realty Services, SJP Properties, Stonehenge NYC, TD Bank, Terra CRG, the Merengoff Family Foundation, and these friends. "51 years ago, this little Greek kid who was in the supermarket business started a company called the Red Apple. And from the Red Apple Group, the company today has more than 8,000 employees. It's a multi-billion-dollar business in a variety of businesses. In a way, a little Berkshire Hathaway. But what's the big thing? He has 2 children in the business, and today we're going to discuss the challenges and opportunities of father, daughter, and son in a family business. My guests include the founder of the business, the 51-year-old CEO, 51 years in business, John Catsimatidis Sr., his daughter Andrea Catsimatidis, and last but not least, his son John Catsimatidis Jr. So, what's your responsibilities in the business?
So I'm involved in a number of things. I started in our energy business, and I've moved on to real estate and investments, so I co-lead our investment business. We're structured similar to a Berkshire Hathaway, as you mentioned, where we have an investment business at top and then portfolio companies underneath, various different energy assets and refining, pipelines, distribution, real estate development, management, trading, and then we also have insurance, grocery, and a few others. So we try to get involved in a number of things.
Andrew?
So when you work in a family business, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades, or in this situation, a Jill of all trades, I guess. So I'm pretty much involved in everything, but my main responsibilities include managing a number of investments for the company, managing the investments for our insurance company, and I'm very involved in the real estate side of the business. So that's where I'd say I spend most of my day-to-day.
And Pops, what are you doing today? What would you say your role as the Patriot, the man who's still moving the, it's like the puppeteer, you're still running the business and you're still getting involved with the decisions?
Well, we have division presidents in every division. And there's an old expression, people do what you observe, not what you expect. And you have to be there watching each division, watching the numbers, just to make sure the numbers are what they're supposed to be.
Okay, but you just brought up an interesting thing. John Jr. is involved with the energy business. Okay, you're involved more with the grocery business and also the insurance business. But you said you have presidents of these divisions. Who do the presidents report to?
They report to John Sr.
Okay, so where are you in the line if we were looking at a organizational chart?
You want to answer that question?
Well, they're part of
Dotted
the
line.
office of the chairman.
Yeah.
They're principals. They're the bosses. They're the future bosses.
Okay, so no, but basically, even though there's a president in these divisions, they report both directly to Dad, and they also report to you on your subdivisions.
Yes.
When you were growing up, did you ever think that you'd be in anything but the family business?
So when I started actually programming and doing technology at a very early age, and my dad used to program as well, and so he would teach me. So I'd always thought that technology would play a role. And then when I started interning in high school for the business, I really fell in love with the energy business, but with the breadth of different businesses, because it's never a same day. There's always something new. So I'd say definitely from when I was a teenager, I knew I really loved the business and wanted to be involved.
Andrew?
Growing up, I was always really close to my dad, and I always found that our values and aspirations sort of were in line, so I never really wanted to do anything else. I always wanted to be just like my dad.
Did either one of you ever work anywhere else?
Oh, like I mentioned in the technology front, not on a very institutionalized level, but I would do various startups and apps, but I had never worked at an outside firm.
Well, as I was saying in the green room, what do you feel are the biggest opportunities of working in a family business, and what are the biggest challenges? Either one of you, both. Andrea?
So I would say the unique opportunity that we have is because our business is so diversified, that if we find that we need to shift our business one way or another, or we find an opportunity, any type of opportunity, it's much easier for us to execute and move around, whereas other businesses that are very small in terms of like their silo, they can't shift as easily. So I think that's a huge advantage that we have. Another huge advantage, specifically because of a family business, is that because we're privately held and it's such a small group that makes the decision, basically my dad, and with input from my brother and I, it's much easier for us to execute quickly on things.
Definitely the level of bureaucracy you see in outside firms doesn't exist.
So when you go to your dad and you say to him, Pop, there's something called real estate technology, there are these new companies over there that maybe we should put this automated, entry system, or we should have different type of intercom systems or something else. How willing is he to accept a new idea?
I think he's definitely willing to listen, and specifically in prop tech, you're probably talking about Latch, and I think the Latch team has made an incredible product, and it's definitely something that we would look at doing in the future. But it's also always a cost element in trying to quantify what kind of value you're going to get from prop tech, because I'm not saying for Latch specifically, there's prop tech to do prop tech, but it's still very early. I mean, I'll give you another example of where we're using it very heavily. Real estate as an industry is still moving from friction to frictionless in information. So whereas the public markets, there's information accessible to all retail investors and things like that. In real estate, it still doesn't exist. The vast majority of real estate is still privately owned. It's not public. So there's a number of systems that are trying to develop, as you could say, the Bloomberg of real estate, to help institutional investors, even just now at the beginning, trying to access that kind of information. So we began using a platform like that has started. It's called Reonomy, and we actually made an investment because we like the platform a lot. And you still find tremendous inefficiencies because as far as the zoning and the old lots and whatnot, we look at various investments that sometimes it doesn't match up with what's in the databases, and you have to go back to the old documents. So technology is helping decrease the information friction.
So when you go to the to the Patriot and you say to him, here's a new idea.
Yeah.
What does he say? I mean, how does I've known Dad many years. Okay. How does he accept a new challenge? Okay, he's always been in a variety of businesses.
Yeah.
Sometimes good, sometimes, most of the time, pretty good. But how does he accept an idea of saying, hey, Dad, this is something new? Andrew, have you approached anything unique, new to your dad?
I mean, my dad is always great with facing challenges. Like, he always takes everything head on, and he keeps a cool head and is very good at attacking challenges. But that being said, if there's a new opportunity, he always told us, don't mess with the golden goose, and pioneers get shot. So he's very hesitant to go into crazy new industries, but I think that's actually served us really well, because we could have ended up losing a lot of money that way, and that's pretty much
right.
where
But
he still is today.
you bring it up. So 51 years ago, he went to the supermarket business, You're still in the supermarket business today, but as we know, the grocery business has totally changed with the evolution of, Instacart and, Amazon and other packaging. You're involved more in the supermarket business, Andrea?
Yes.
Where do you see the company going and focusing in the grocery business?
I think the grocery business has become more of a convenience business because everyone, especially with millennials, has shifted to ordering online. People like the convenience. They don't want to go out and shop. So it's definitely a challenge that the supermarkets are going to have to adapt to.
It's a change in taste as well. We're moving from kind of brand value to private label and trust in an institution as an aggregator. So people have trust in the Whole Foods brand or the Catsimatidis brand, for example. And when you go there, they know if you're giving them private label, they have trust in that private label versus a gold medal flour or some other brand premium. And you're seeing in the consumer packaged goods space margins being compressed significantly because of this trend.
One thing that I did when I started off in the supermarket division was I wanted to shift towards more grab-and-go fresh products, and so we found a commissary to make all sorts of healthy meals and shift it seasonally. So you can get a pan-seared salmon with quinoa, you can get a cornichon with wild rice, and you can pick all of this up at your local Catsimatidis.
Sushi bars and
Sushi.
Wait, Catsimatidis and D'Agostino.
And well,
right.
these meals are just in Catsimatidis, but D'Agostino's is doing a great job as well.
You were saying prior to the show, you went into the grocery business and you evolved the grocery business by also getting into the real estate business. Why don't you explain that?
Well, we're in New York City. So if you're going to stay in the grocery business, you have to own the real estate. So back in the 1970s, we started buying real estate. It was a period of time we were buying one piece of real estate every month and just kept buying and buying. And somewhere down the road, we found out that the real estate was worth 10 times more than the value of that store. In other words, I'll give you an example. We had a store on Broadway that was making $300,000 a year. Now, $300,000 a year for the store was good. Somebody offered us $40 million for the location. You wouldn't make $40 million until next lifetime.
Right. So it was an easy decision. So here's the question: when he decides or thinks of a new idea, okay? Because we know when you come up with a new idea, he listens. He doesn't kill it all the time, does he?
No, he's open.
He's open over there. But when he has an idea to go to Coney Island to build Ocean Dreams, which is a beautiful project on the water, how does the family accept something that the Patriot says?
Well, he has a demonstrated ability to see around the corner and execute on things that no one else is thinking of. And that vision has served him very well. And I think that vision will serve us very well in Coney Island. There's nowhere else in New York City with as my sister says, the convenience of going to the city, being able to commute, but living on a beautiful beach. It's an unbelievable lifestyle.
What do you see about other real estate opportunities today? Florida?
I think the tax structure in Florida is a lot more beneficial. So I think that's definitely a place that we want to look to expand and build, particularly where we're looking right now in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's probably one of the only cities in Florida that should be more developed than it is now. They have beautiful beaches. They have 3 airports that go there, a whole foodie scene, a whole new renaissance going on there, and we're excited to build there.
Where has the company evolved over the last 5 or 6 years in new opportunities and new growth areas from traditional?
Traditionally, our oil company has been headquartered. It's a Northeast energy company. We have refining, pipelines, and terminals, but it hasn't been a New York business. In 2013, we started expanding in New York. We bought a terminal in Brooklyn, a 5 million barrel facility in Riverhead, and from Pennsylvania Power and Light, we bought their trading business, which brought us to 6 or 7 more states. So we've been restarting that business, and he saved all those jobs, and we've been growing that, and it's been very interesting.
How do people within the company accept having you as as overseers, because you're not their peers, you're really your overseers.
It's not always a mentality of overseeing. It's a large amount of respect for people who've been working in the business and who've been doing an excellent job in the business for years. So having a respect for their knowledge and their decision making and learning from them is how I see that.
John, what do you see as the biggest challenges and opportunities for both Andrea and John Jr.?
I've always tried to teach them that you need vision, especially when you're building new buildings. You want a wow building. And what a wow building is, when you look at it, it's so beautiful. You say, wow, I want to live there. And I try to teach them that. The other thing, the big argument we had in one of our buildings that we were building is the roof was naked. And I think roof with a view, especially the one we're building in Florida, it's going to be the tallest building in the west coast of Florida. They're going to leave the roof empty. Versus, you could have an observation tower. You could have something that adds value to the overall building. So you have to have vision, and you have to have what other people want. Why would people want to live there? You need to be able to.
So that's
interpret.
in the real estate, okay? When you went into the oil business, okay, what was your vision? And I hear from what John Jr. just said, it's changed completely, okay? Part of it was a oil company, a pipeline, but it's also in you're in the store business. You have small stores, correct?
For energy?
Right.
Or we have
Quick stops.
terminal. Oh, so we've had gas stations for quite some time, but
Right.
Well, the vision I had there
Yeah.
was we had 400 convenience stores, gas stations. But what I recreated, that since our crude oil comes from Canada, Canada is part of America, and it's made by American workers in the United States, refined. Our gasoline is made from 100% American oil. And the people loved it. And we doubled our sales over a 5-year period.
In a commoditized business, it's rare to see brand loyalty, and we're very lucky to have great customers.
So what's the brand called on the oil company?
Quick Fill and Country Fair are the stations, and then our oil company is called United Refining Company.
Right, and what's Metro?
Metro is the Brooklyn headquartered distribution business.
Where would you want to see the company grow? Do you want to see the company grow in the manner of the Berkshire Hathaway idea, which I think is a great idea, or do you want to go into true operating businesses?
At least my opinion. So I find real estate interesting. It's structurally an incredible business, and that will continue to grow. But what's nice about how we're structured is that when we have distributions from our portfolio companies, we have to benchmark our investment decisions. And what's nice about being in various different industries is that different industries have different market environments and at different points. So when we have new capital in, do we do this growth capex at the energy company? Do we buy this terminal? Do we buy these stocks or bonds? Or do we build this building? So what's nice is that we're going to be able to do that. But real estate, I'd say, is definitely a big growth area.
Andrew?
I also would love to continue to expand the real estate business. It's a tangible business, which to me, is the most valuable kind of business that you can have. Whereas with investments, while I love the investment side of our business, the valuations fluctuate all the time, and sometimes it's only theoretical in value. It's not something that you can hold. And I just love being proud of having a vision for real estate and seeing your vision come to life and changing the skyline. And I want to continue to do that at our company.
Do you see getting involved with manufacturing in a different aspect? Totally.
Depends if the opportunity presents itself.
Since you're a family business, somebody comes to you and says, I have the new widget, okay? It's something like that. How is that decision vetted within your company?
So we have a number of different teams, and because we're in so many industries, we have experts in a lot of different things. But when we don't, we find he has tremendous relationships, obviously, across the business community. So we find people that we can trust to give their opinions on things. And if it's something that we can get very comfortable with the downside, he has a great expression on downsides about buying things well.
What's your...
Well, my old friend Del Coleman, if you remember him, well bought, half sold. So if you're buying it at a great price,
So
you got to consider
here's
it.
the question. You've been a banker. You've been a director of banks. You've been involved with that. Where do you see the banking world today?
Well, I think the banking world will always exist. It goes back to the Rothschilds for hundreds and hundreds of years. It'll always exist. Would it be more computerized? Would it be more online? Probably. But there's always going to be a need for a few branches here and there.
You have retail, okay, and I'm not sure if you have ATMs in your retail locations. Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself, following like Vernon Hill did with Commerce Bank, what he's trying to do now with Republic Bank, that the Catsimatidis family would ever get involved with the financial services business?
At one point, we made a bid for a few banks, and we didn't win the bid. But if it's a bank that we're lenders. In other words, we would lend on real estate. But if the right opportunity came,
but you bring up an interesting concept. A lot of family businesses in the real estate business have gone into the lending business as alternative lenders. Are the Catsimatidis in the I'm not saying hard money alternative lender space today?
We're willing to lend on the right opportunity.
It's not a platform. We've done it in the past. It's opportunistic.
If you had to say what opportunities in different platforms, what industries would you think of that the company's not involved with? Because people didn't realize that you're really in the insurance business. But with 8,000 employees, you have workers' comp, you have other things. You're handling your own property and casualty too?
Well, we are self-insured in a lot.
Yeah.
What areas would you see the company changing and growing?
Because of the nature of our business and how we have so many operating companies, and those operating companies kick off a lot of income, we have to figure out strategically where to invest that income. So I definitely see the investment side of our business growing a lot more, and in that vein, looking for other opportunities in fields like technology, which my brother is interested in, and I personally love the biotechnology space because you can both help people by curing diseases and finding treatments for diseases, but at the same time make a fantastic return as well.
People don't realize that your father was in the airline business. He's been in a variety of business, the jewelry business at one time that I remember. So he's always looked at unique opportunities. What unique opportunities do you think are out there today?
It's a good question. It's generally on a case-by-case basis, but it's sort of which theme do you want to exploit, right? Is it the growth in data and usage? So one of the big trends in the last, 10 years or so has been taking assets that have been out of public market and bringing them into them, not being public. So I'll give you an example. When Uber first started and people could take their cars, which suddenly they bought as a liability, and it suddenly became an asset because they could start deploying it. Airbnb is also something like that, taking people's apartments and putting them on, although they have some issues, but I'm sure the market will fix as far as compliance and it's kind of like playing bingo with quality control. So there's various waves that you could take advantage of that I can't say it's a specific industry, but there's large amounts of disruption happening.
You bring up an interesting idea, especially since the way you're structured. In a way, you're a mini VC also.
Yeah.
Okay, besides being a mini Berkshire Hathaway. If somebody has an idea which sounds good, that there could be a small investment or something, a couple of $1 million on an idea that there's a great potential, you're willing to do that. Your father's been involved with politics. I know you're involved with politics. What ingrained all of you to the political side? What would you say, Andrea?
I think the idea of the American dream. My dad is the embodiment of the American dream, how he came to this country with nothing, learned English from a 6-inch television set, and coming from an island of 900 people was able to found a multi-billion-dollar company. And to me, the idea of America and what it represents is so powerful. And I think that patriotism is what shaped my love of this country and the political system.
Do you think either one of you would get involved with public office?
I don't think so. I love the family business, and I think that's where I'm going to continue.
Do you think things would change if you were married, being in the family business?
I don't think so.
I mean, because the perspectives change when you're married.
Yeah.
Different ideas, different effects. You know, sometimes the sibling, you know, your wife, your husband, whatever, getting in the business. Would you want your sibling, your husband or your wife, to be involved with the family business?
It all depends. I don't think so, though. I'd say the biggest change would be kind of prioritization of time, because now practically 100% of my time is prioritizing and dedicating my time to the business. So I'm guessing my future wife wouldn't like that. So it might have to go to 80%.
Andrea?
I'd say you never know. You don't know the person or anything in the future. Once you have that sort of information, then I could reevaluate. But I don't like to make decisions without information.
So where do you see the business in 10 years, Mr. Catsimatidis?
I think the two leads would be, we'll continue the energy business because it throws off a lot of cash, and we'll continue the real estate business. Everything others, and definitely the investment business, because when you throw out the cash from the energy business, it either goes into real estate or goes into our investment business.
Okay. One thing is certain, with a patriot like John and the two good son and daughter, I'm pretty certain that the Red Apple Group and all of the affiliated companies will just thrive and grow in the future. And I'd like to thank John, Andrea, and John Jr. for being here, and see you next week.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.